Why do we do it? Obviously, it's nurturing the relationships. We have the opportunity to share so much of the knowledge about the quality of medicine that we have, the quality of care that we give, the quality of love that we give to our clients and whatnot. Those things are all really important. But also, as you know, it empowers our clients as well to give feedback to what they think about their experience with us. You know, we get our reviews through Yelp, through Facebook, through Google. So all of those tie in together. And so the more that we can position ourselves positively in that media, the better we are. The benefits, again, go back to the branding of the story of who VCA is. It creates that connection. And also it kind of just gives you, you know, people come in to bring their pets. We know that already. We know what they do when they're in the hospital. But especially now with COVID, when those clients can't come in the hospital, it's good for them to kind of see what's going on inside while they're either outside or at home, in your case, because of being in the desert. I think there's more of opportunities to connect with people there. These are the three basic platforms that VCA corporate tends to use, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I know at the hospital level, we really focus on Facebook and Instagram. There is a real big difference between Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is viewed more as a visual platform, much more aesthetically empowering, and aesthetically sensitive. So eyeballs will attach themselves to what you post based on their aesthetics more. So that seems to be the strategic focus behind posting there. Whereas Facebook is more about you as a business, the hospital as a business, and where we can create things and do things, whether it's in hospital events and events that we're at. Obviously, we're not doing outside events now, but there's a lot of things that we can do and show on Facebook about the business, and we'll get into a little bit more of that. We do measure on Facebook. A lot of you have asked what the things are, like why do we, once we post, what's the difference between a like and a comment, or a like and a follow, things like that. So these are kind of the metrics that when I go through reputation.com, I can actually track the number of likes to a certain post. I can actually also see, once you post something, how wide the audience has been, who has had access or visibility to that post, what that reach is. It's called the reach, actually. And I can actually see that. I can also see how many shares. And sometimes you guys can see that too. I think some of you have the ability to do that or not. But the reason that it's good to do is that looking at those metrics can allow you to see what's been working and what hasn't. Okay, so there we go. Reach is at the bottom there. All right, so the key here is, I know that you guys are super, super busy overall. And we know that posting on social media should not be something that consumes you. And but at the same time, it shouldn't be something that scares you either, right? So it should be something that we have, I think for every hospital, it's different, but planning for it and how you manage that internally is super, super important. I know that with Annette, I know she's not on the line, but I did a little training with somebody on her team who's taking that over and kind of gave them the tools that they need. So, but at the same time, she's well aware of what's going on. So she doesn't have to, quote unquote, micromanage that, but she's confident that the hospital is now moving forward with posting. So again, I know you guys are busy, but if we can find a way to work together to kind of set up something that will help you to plan, I think that'll make perfect sense. Now, social media isn't the be all end all of life. It's not like, oh my God, it's like got to be perfect and it's got to be everything. However, given the tone of the brand and where we're going, it's one of those things that to not have it kind of creates a perception of, oh my God, there's nobody there. Is the business still there? Because they're linking to that site from your website. So we want to keep some kind of consistency up. So organizing your post schedules is also part of that. So I have two things that I'm going to post in the group. One is going to be a kind of a template. Some of you use it, some of you don't, and some of you have seen it. Some of you may not have seen it. But what it is, it's like an open calendar that you or someone on your team basically fills out at the beginning of the month, and they say, hey, listen, I'm going to have so many posts during the month of whatever, and it's actually an opportunity for you and this person or you to kind of think about what's going to go in there for the month, and then this then it could be posted for the entire month, and you don't really have to think about it. Now, of course, you're going to then pepper it with different things that fall into that crack. So, for example, let's say you have 4 posts on Care Club, 2 posts on home delivery, 3 on team, 2 on birthdays, 5 on COVID, whatever those can be planned and plotted in to the calendar throughout the month. So that gives an overall variety to your page. Okay. So this is kind of what I've listed of ways and tips to organize and plan. The first one is, looking at, typical holidays, the holidays, what they are, the pet holidays. And I have a calendar also, an Excel spreadsheet that I will share with you that is for 2020 that tells you for each month what the day is, like, whatever it's pick up your cat and love them day and, that kind of thing. Or, month, best, smiley dog month, whatever that is. So those are all in this Excel spreadsheet. So you can look at that as a reference. The idea is to work in advance, but also then think about these posts if they work only on Instagram or if they work on Facebook or both, because they're not going to work for both all the time. Having a crazy birthday cake that looks really funky and cool, maybe something on Instagram, but if you have backgrounds of the hospital, of, I don't know, that don't look as quote unquote like museum like, of course, maybe not, maybe that wouldn't go on Instagram. So it just depends how that photo is taken. We have reputation.com, which that can allow you to schedule and post for the whole month. And I know here it says as a rule of thumb, 1 post a day on Facebook and Instagram. That's what VCA's branding kind of messaging is. They would like for the hospitals to post once a day on each. Everybody's going to have their own personal challenge, like their own personal, like if you're posting already, twice a week, maybe you add 1 more. If you're not posting at all once a week or nothing, maybe it's a few a month, then maybe you try to build and say, listen, you know what, we're going to do 2 posts a week. It's really based on where you're at, not what this says. But I've kept it in here so that you know what people are seeing across the country, what other hospitals are, what they know is the benchmark. But by no means, that this is completely up to you. And it says here, if postings aren't feasible, then shoot for 15 a month. That's a good number for a week, maybe 16 a month, something like that. But those are considered the best practices right now within the guidelines. Okay. And the other thing too is, posting on a Friday night at midnight is probably not going to be the best idea. Sunday morning at 6 a.m. probably isn't going to be the best idea. If you're a 24/7, that's a different story. Monday mornings, not so great. Friday afternoons, not so great. Usually it's, Tuesdays and Thursdays, mid-morning, mid-afternoon. Those are usually the most opportune times to post. And the nice thing is that in reputation.com, even if you do upload your posts and you decide to front load them for the month, you can actually go into the calendar feature of that and schedule how those are done. Okay. I went through the difference. This is kind of a reiteration of the two between Facebook and Instagram, so you can read that at your leisure. So here's an example of, for example, if you're posting something for your clients, what kind of connects them in a more engaging way. So they're both the same image, right? So it's not about the image in this case. But the first one is a very simple statement, which is, bark for joy. It's National Dog Day. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's totally fine. It's great. When you change the copy and you start to ask questions or spark, let's say, curiosities. This one reads, "It's National Dog Day. We're barking for joy. What's your dog doing?" So when we talk about whether it's health or how are you caring for your pet, if you start to imagine that you're speaking to an individual. I know that sounds weird because you're not speaking to an individual when you're posting on Facebook, but I find that if you imagine you're talking to one person, one pet owner, it kind of shifts your mentality just a little bit in terms of how your conversation will roll. And by doing this, it's kind of like when I read the two, I'm like, okay, it's National Dog Day. Great. Okay, that's a good thing. Thank you for the info. Oh, what's my dog doing? Oh, I don't know. But it brings it back to me. And by bringing it back to me, in this case, the user or the reader, it's like, oh, it sparks a question and you deepen the level of engagement. You do that enough over time and that builds your audience. You can also join the conversation with just more than just posting, right? You can continue to, adapt to things. So let's say you post on a particular event, you can keep updating. If you're posting on, if there's a natural disaster, unfortunately, those are the things that draw the most eyeballs. You can add to those things, but by checking in on those same topics, especially if it's holidays and you guys are running different campaigns or running different events or charitable kind of things through the month, it's nice to continue the messaging on that post for that to kind of build engagement and have more of a dialogue and respond to those clients who are posting and commenting. Okay. Again, I always said this, but you can't really make too many mistakes. I've said this always, and you guys already know this. There's like no blood and guts, of course. Everybody's very, you guys are great at posting. Honestly, there's never been anything that I've seen that's been, questionable. So that's never been an issue. And even though you're sending in things for approval through reputation.com for Facebook, for Instagram, there are no approvals required. So all I do is follow you guys, and I love your posts, I love your stories. I think you continue on with that, but maybe it's just tweaking maybe some of the calls to action, maybe in some of the words like we were mentioning before to engage them. So these are just kind of little tips to help you. Spell checks are always good. It's been a while since I've seen some errors in spelling, so I think you guys are overall following this, but this is kind of just. If you have somebody on your team who you want to assign this, then I would share some of this information with them so they can kind of like be aware, oh yeah, people are checking the spelling. Oh yeah, I've got to continue to think about those. We take that for granted, but as a client or as a user, a misspelled word goes a long way, to creating not so positive of a response. So little things, but they could have big impact. Things to avoid, we don't allow GoFundMe pages to be linked to our site. Now, we don't allow ourselves. I know that we have linked to people who then have linked to a site for GoFundMe, whether it's a pet. I've seen a few things that I think have been okay, but not driving our own GoFundMe page from the hospital side of things or creating something as a team that we would do. So I think that's more of a general VCA thing than just a post. We prefer photos. We do not give, medical advice if it's not from one of our own very doctors. We don't post articles usually that are not that do not include quotes from our own doctors. Puppy mills, things like that. So that's pretty straightforward. Again, this sheet is good to share if somebody was going to be posting for a new time on behalf of your hospitals. Here's a kind of a rounding of themes. We're like, oh, what's the range of themes? So you've got things that range from humor, cuteness, adorable eyes for the eye contact, the sharing of compassion and love between two pets, between a human and a pet, some empathy there, showing kindness, the relationship. These are just, things that we can, now it doesn't take into consideration our marketing programs or any of the COVID related stuff, but it does break things up. So if you had a hospital, for example, who was just posting humor or goofiness, and that's all the content that they posted, and you didn't show anything else, as a user, and I look through that feed, let's say it's on Instagram, I'm thinking, is there anything, I'm not going to say that I'm like, don't know that the hospital's serious, but the perception is that, oh, they're joking a lot. What else is going on? It leaves me it leaves open room for questioning what else. So I always think it's good to mix it up, because people are usually scrolling through your feed versus just looking at one post. I put this here. I have more detail on all the specs, but this is an example for the two types of images. So Instagram is completely square. You can post an Instagram photo and use that same one for Facebook, no problem, because you can crop it. But if you take a Facebook page that's more kind of horizontal, and then you try to, and you need the whole image, it won't crop nicely into Instagram. You'll get it cut off, or it'll get squashed. Okay. Here. So on the Facebook side, these are kind of the breakdown and types of posts. Craig, you asked me about the video post. I know that we can post through the link on reputation.com. But I'm still trying to figure out how your Vimeo on PodLife would come through there with the actual quote unquote the screen capture that you were talking about the other day. So there's links that you can send. You can obviously do a text, or you can do an image. So these are kind of the 4 categories of posts, and these are all accepted with reputation.com. And then again, we can go back and look at the metrics. So these are just tips right here. If you ever wanted to find out, sorry about that. If you ever wanted to find out how your hospital metrics are, you could log into your reputation.account. You would click on the reports legend, which is in the upper left-hand side, and then click social, and then there will be reports. You can generate a report on that to see how your posts are doing. And if we have a moment, I will show you the screenshot from there. Some questions, why people aren't liking my posts. Again, I think time and consistency, back to what I was talking about earlier, and the quality of the images. It's better to shoot to have a strong following than a lot of followings, because those are the ones that are going to be more engaged. They're going to be the ones that are going to be more, they're going to tend to share your information more. So it's really quality over quantity, and it does take time to build up that audience, but it'll be a solid audience, right? And then there's a reputation.com support if you need that there. Let's see, these are just some more tips here. Human faces and animal faces get better engagement. Funny or cute photos get more shares. These are, kind of logical, but I put them here for all of you to refer to as you need. Instagram, kind of telling you what I mentioned before on the aesthetics, the bright and sharp, colorful images versus kind of the dark, muted, muddy kind of looks. One pops more than the other. So that's just an obvious there. This is who you guys are, and some of your front pages, I'll call them cover pages for a lack of a better term on Instagram. What I want to call out here is the value of utilizing the space to describe your hospital, to feature the link. And what I think some of you are doing, I don't see it here. I see some hospitals up there, Crestwood does it. Include the phone number. I think this is your kind of, I don't want to say yellow pages because I'm not a yellow pages fan, but this is like your little calling card, right? It's your calling card for everybody. So if you've got the phone number in there, and I'm on my phone, chances are I'm on my phone looking at this, I can literally just click on that and obviously be dialed into you. So I think website, is important. Your services, if you're AHA accredited, which I think Desert has had here, I think that's important. You can even put the AHA logo in there if you wanted to, but that's how everybody's using that. And then how you guys have used the posts. These are just an example of some stories. This was from another area, I know. These are from different regions, but this is how the stories are appearing. I don't catch all the stories because, they expire, but I think it's a cool thing. Now, here's this middle one here is the VCA sponsored story that's on the main VCA, from the VCA page. And then this is the content that you guys have. So you guys have a good mix going on. I've seen people use this for, the new operating procedures. You've got your team here at Rancho. You're celebrating the individual, showing the team within the hospital. Here's a reach out on our whole corporate piece there. You've got the COVID posts. We have a Cinco de Mayo, really cute posts. We have unique services with Rancho or Mirage talking about the behavior consults. So this is really great where you really can individualize yourselves. I love that the fact that what you guys are doing with Instagram today is are miles away than what you were doing a year ago. So we can just make it better, always. There's always so much room for improvement, also streamlining it as well. That's some more content from your team. But these are all different, types of content continued for you guys. So when writing for Instagram, your first few lines of copy are the most important because that's what people see. I know there's a bit more for people to click on more to read more, but people have very short attention spans. So if you keep things brief, but utilize that copy, utilize space and the opportunity to write something, that's really great. Emojis also call out visually, and hashtags. Hashtags are huge. So if you include the VCA hashtags, there's hashtag VCA pets, hashtag VCA hospitals, hashtag for your hospital, of course. And if they're individual pets, dogs of Instagram and cats of Instagram are there. I mean, if it's a black cat, there's black cats of Instagram, there's breeds of Instagram, certain breeds are also. Think of, and there's also new hashtag ideas that can be found with this URL, hashtagify.me, and that's online if you need some ideas. And that what's nice about that is that you can see through that hashtagify site the number of, when you put that hashtag in on Instagram, how many other, people do that. Sometimes it's good to do one that doesn't have so many because it's a little more unique. And then sometimes it's great to do a lot because, that's going to be, where everybody's going. So hashtags are huge, and that would be great to use more of. Again, the questions, which we talked about, and then the attention span, shorter posts. Okay, so for you guys, I think it's really important just to do a quick check with, you and the teams. Is everybody on the team following, VCA corporate, VCA the hospital, VCA your region, both, the Facebook pages and Instagram pages for both. Definitely follow each other for sure, each other's hospital, and also the SoCal hospitals. You can also reach out nationwide, but I think keeping it in the SoCal family is kind of cool as well. It's completely up to you. Create a goal for hashtags and types. For numbers and types of posts. So back to what I was saying earlier, if you're doing 1, maybe up it to 2 or 3. If you're doing 4, up it to 6. I put flirt and engage. You're not flirting with people, obviously, but you're prompting curiosity with clients. So think about, like I said, reaching out to individuals, even though it's not an individual. Have a strategy of mixing the content up. Stay skilled and take advantage of the monthly rep.com training, which is every Tuesday or Wednesday at the beginning of the month. I will show you that in a second. Organize and plan with the content calendar and the holiday calendar. I've showed you this slide before in a previous update, which is just how we're engaging with our clients during COVID. Just kept that in there. And I've showed you this one as well. Just a reminder that these things are all available to continue to use and are continuously being updated. In Woof Connect, we have this social media resources in Woof Connect. It's off of the marketing resources page, off of the social media box. And here is all the list of the, how to manage reviews. We've got the consent form even for photography. Borders that you would need, links to reputation.com, the pet calendar holiday, the pet holiday calendar is also here. And then below this, which I just missed, is the reputation.com training. So again, if you had somebody new on your team who wanted that training, they would be able to get that there. If they wanted a refresher of new tips every month, then there's a once a month training that does only that, just refreshes the new features within reputation.com. Now you should see I'm in Woof Connect, correct? And when you click on resources, right, you go to the marketing section here. It's welcome to marketing. Right over to the right here is a social media square. So I'm going to click on the social media button here. And it's a whole page of welcome to social media with all the resources. And that's the screenshot that I just shared with you guys. And the quick links to both reputation.com and the holiday calendar. The holiday calendar is basically this, which goes through the month. So like I was saying, October, for example, is for the month is on the left-hand side, all the topics here for the month, and then for specific days on the right-hand side. So that can be directly linked from there. Going back down again, same page, reputation.com. The basic training is on this link here. And then, yes, I was right. It's the first Tuesday of every month at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Registration is here. So they basically do kind of like drop-in webinars where it's different than the normal training, because it's kind of like if you have specific questions or if there are new topics in reputation.com, new features that you guys can do. Okay. The social media consent forms are also attached. Just a reminder, we do not need a release if there are no people in the image. We do not need a release really pretty much anytime unless it's going to be, unless we're going to have kids in the photo. I like to avoid kids completely. It just kind of keeps us all safe. And the filming notice. So everything is there. Now I'm going to go over to Facebook. Does anybody have questions on this particular page or anything? Can you show us how to log into rep.com, please? Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to stop sharing again. I'm going to bring up my reputation.com page. All right, so the basics, so I'm in reputation.com. My screen's a little bit different than yours because I have access to, I can see the whole region. But right here on the left-hand side, okay, so you've got a tab here on the top here, dashboards, reviews, social suite, reports, and reputation score. So if you go to what's called the the social suite, right? I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to go to the library. And I'm going to click on the library and you'll see on the left-hand side, there is this plus sign. There's a plus sign right here. And that's where I'm going to create a new post from, right? Down here is all the approved content that's available, okay? Now there's a big difference between the content that's available. You can post any one of these things at any given time, or I would click on assets. And let's say for assets, this is everything that's also available, but it's more of, it's just an image. So for example, if you notice, these are just images here, whereas the content, if I choose to post the content, it's going to allow me some room to, there's like, see how there's content, there's actually text here, and before you only saw images. So these are actual posts with the written content in that post. But both of those that you see in these are approved for you to use. So for example, if you would like to post something, let's say I'm going to actually do something really here. I'm just going to click on SC5 real quick so I don't erroneously post to another region. Okay. All right, so I'm going to click on this little X or this little plus sign here, and I'm going to create a post. I'm not going to add any content to the library here, but I'm going to go ahead and create a post. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to answer the question, publish to Facebook or Instagram. It's always going to be Facebook. Okay. You see here in the right, it showed the location that it's going to, and you're seeing here that I have 82 locations. That's because I have 82 hospitals. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and filter this for me. I'm going to hit none, and I'm going to use Crestwood as an example. Okay. So there's Crestwood. So now you see that it's turned to Crestwood here on the right. You will only always default to your hospital, but I had to do that extra. Okay. So if I just wanted to say something, I would just type here, happy hump day, whatever, all, okay. I would just do that. And then I would literally go through this, if it's just text, right? I would go down to the bottom, and I have two options here, which is, you see how it says publish later or publish now? It's highlighted in blue because if I hit submit, it's going to publish right this second. If I switch over and say publish later, it's going to open a calendar here, and that calendar is going to make recommendations of what time is the best time to post today. But I can also click on that calendar and schedule this for any time. I can go ahead and pop and schedule this whenever I want that to be in future post, okay? If I want to add an image, I have a couple choices. I can select from that library that we were just at, or I can drag an image over. If I have a Mac, I can do that, or I can browse my own personal folder that I have within my computer and select that, and then it would populate. So I'm just going to select something from the library, and just because this is new, I'm just going to click on that because it's in there and it's easy to get to, right? And then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to hit add. Now you'll notice on the right-hand side, you see that the image doesn't look too great. It looks like the pet's head is chopped off. Well, that's not how it's going to appear. So if I want to preview the whole post, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this little kind of weird X-y thing that's in the upper right-hand corner, and that's the way the image is going to appear. Okay, it opened up a new window, so I'm going to go back to the other window. So my post is going to have that image. It's going to say Happy Hump Day. I'm going to go back to hit publish, and I'm going to hit submit. Okay, successfully published. When you do it, it's going to put it in a queue for approval that I see, and then I check those in the morning and in the afternoon. That's why it's kind of good to, my recommendation on that for you guys, it's good to post days like a day in advance, but if it's something urgent, then just text me and I will literally go in and approve it right away. Just text me, or text me is probably the easiest way. So now we're going to go to Crestwood's page. Crestwood. And I'm going to click on that. My page looks a little bit different because I have admin rights, but the post that I put in there should appear. There it is. Okay, I just had to refresh the page. There we go. So it's in there. It says Happy Hump Day all. I mean, I could remove that, Valerie, no problem. I didn't know what else to say, so I just threw that in there. But but this is, now it's in her feed, and that's fairly simple to do.
You don't have to remove it.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right. I also have the ability to simultaneously, if there's something in your region, Marcy, or if you guys are working on a campaign or something, I have the ability to do exactly what I did with Valerie's hospital, but to simultaneously post to all of your hospitals at the same time with one click. So I think that's a really, I don't know, I think it's an interesting opportunity to think about if it's something you guys can talk about. I certainly don't mind doing it. I think it's great if we can kind of establish some consistency. I think your region itself is geographically connected more, or geographically centralized to allow for more centralized posting, but those are my 2 cents. And then you guys let me know what you think about that. The other thing I wanted to show you here that I think is really cool, and especially for you, Raymond, because you've got the urgent care thing going on. There is, let's see here. I'm going to go down here to social, and I'm going to go to Facebook metrics. And I'm going to go down to when did Susan do urgent care? It was last year. Susan Johnson. Okay. So I'm going to go scroll down real quick. And it gives me, I'm only in SC5 now. I'm not in all of SoCal group. I'm in SC5. It tells me, I can see, for example, you see here, Alasta's post on 31st of September. This is old, of course, but the reach that she got, the number of likes, the comments, and the clicks. I'm going to see if I can switch this real quick. I don't want more. I want to go from high to low. Okay. All right. So for Susan's post last year on urgent care, I created a little graphic, urgent care hours, announcing coming soon. Her post and her reach for the entire year for your group, and I think for all of SoCal, had the highest reach. And that was done, September. She had a reach of over 8,000. She had over 400 likes. Second to that was Yucca Valley's Found Pet over here, 1,800. So that's just that is the order of which, kind of from high to low, how things have, and like I said, I'll post for you, like I did this for Fallon, for her, when they're with their move. That was news that was welcomed by the community. You can see who posts. I did that one for her at the time. So these were just, the order from high to low. So Raymond, the reason I bring that up is I think urgent care and using graphics, things like that, announcing it, kind of engaging more is something you may want to consider, because I think it's really cool news and a really great benefit.
So Marie, what exactly does reach mean? Sorry if you said that earlier.
Yeah, it's eyeballs. So it does an algorithm kind of thing where, it kind of shows you that it's reaching an audience. You know how you are like a passive viewer of things and content. You don't necessarily like it, or you don't click on it, or you don't engage with it, but it's kind of reached you. It's kind of it's been in your feed, or it's appeared to you.